Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Alien RPG rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to languages for all ages, listeners should know that the alien setting can include strong violence and gore. And now, on to the show. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your game mother in this episode, Michael Diamond, and I am welcoming you into the finale portion of Rise of the Robots, a Free League community scenario. So without any further ado, because we'd like to get directly to it, I'm going to go to introductions to my right.
Hi, this is Rena, and I am playing Klaus Wagner, your friendly neighborhood seesaw company rep, who just wants everyone to get along and get home safely with all of my company property. That's all.
I'm certain that Seasong is going to be very interested to see you arrive at Roanoke Station. To Klaus's right.
Hello, I'm Rosie Regular Size Mom, and tonight I am playing for you Jackie Robertson, the lead mechanic of Roanoke and your local roughneck, to do all those roughneck things that I do.
Indeed. Like making sure that you can tow the Midas back home, which is going to be important for your hazard pay, of course. To Jackie's right.
Hi, this is John. I'll be playing Deputy Heath Hobbs, and I'm sure nothing can go wrong now that I know the name of the scenario.
Sure. Nice to spring that on our players there at the end. It was just all sorts of fun to watch the reactions here around the table. And last but most certainly not least.
Hello, I'm Gilbert Ramos, also known as Ramos the Nomad everywhere on the internet. Today I'll be playing Roberto Jimenez, disappointed pilot that seemed to have showed up after the action.
I'm sure there's action somewhere in here for you, Jimenez. Don't worry, I'll find some. So we're going to raise the curtain on this episode as the Bison docks with Roanoke Station. Having towed for over a day the Midas, what they're sort of considering the ship lost at space, a couple things to sort of update the crew on. You were able to shut down the distress signal coming from the Bison, something you would have likely done just to keep it from screaming through all the comm signals. And two, you were able to all sort of collectively group up back on the Bison, including Grace, who isn't sitting in a locker somewhere this time. She's visible to everybody. That was something I've taken of notes. No other transmissions have happened outside of the Bison at this point. Jimenez would know that, and so would Hobbs, and likely everybody else in the ship. But you've managed to secure... I would imagine you're leaving Joe 620 in the Midas until further notice.
With the other company property in the hold.
Yeah, he's shut down, so it shouldn't be an issue. But you dock, and then after docking, you filter back out into the promenade. Leslie is seemingly looking for the cantina or someplace to get a real meal, as he is both hungry and tired. He doesn't sleep very well.
Hobbs is going to advise him to take a shower before he does that. Or whatever our space equivalent to showers is. Wipe yourself with a baby wipe. Just do something.
Yeah, no, I heard all about how much I look like shit. Thanks, Hobbs.
I just don't think it was ever mentioned to you how bad you smell right now.
Probably not.
You spent 5 months on your own. Not good.
So, Deputy, soon after making a port, you get contacted by the Roanoke Administrator, Sven, to have a meeting, sort of debriefing as to what happened.
Yeah, I've been expecting this. I've been thinking about the whole flight back, actually.
Sort of tiny administration office on the upper portion of Roanoke Station. He says, so what's the deal?
So what it looks like is a defective Joe, or a damaged Joe, killed 3 out of the 4 crew, and our sole survivor managed to trap it after hitting it twice and locked it in a room.
Locked it in a room?
Locked it in a room. Supply closet kind of thing down in the, looked like a spare parts kind of room. I'm not 100%. I was exploring something else. Now, I have several questions of my own. One of which was, do you know how Grace got on board?
Sven rolls his eyes. Yeah, so I was down at the airlock for a reason. She came to me having heard that there was some sort of distress signal. I have no idea, by the way, how she got that information. She heard there was some sort of distress signal coming from the Midas, and she said that it'd be pretty important for me as a station administrator to make sure that Hyperdyne had a opportunity to see what had happened to one of their contract crews. I don't know if any of that crew was working for her or not. Did you talk to any of them? Did you try to figure out what was wrong?
Yeah, we had a sole survivor. 3/4 of the crew were dead. He says what happened was they're on the bridge and the Joe just chases the captain. Science officer tries to stop it, gets his head torn off. Yeah, the bodies are in the hypersleep containers. It's real bad. He's genuinely looks like he's kind of paler than normal while talking about it. It's not great. And let's see, what else? Mother was turned off when we got there. Turns out our comms specialist knew how to do that. Look, Sven, there's a lot of stuff on this that smells real bad. And I don't just mean the bridge. That place was a special kind of hell. This smells like corpo bullshit. I am going to be suggesting that no systems from the Midas are hooked up to the station system because of the risk of virus or God knows what else. Oh, there's also, in addition to the guy, there's also a cat.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, like name a place humans don't take cats. Wagner has it anyway.
So this crew member is telling you that their working Joe just went psychotic?
As far as he says, just flipped out. It was on the bridge and just went.
You see Sven slowly look over towards another portion of his office. There's another computer set up and there's other office duties, and standing in the corner, silent, no movement, could have been completely separate piece of furniture, is a working Joe, staring at the two of you.
And his eyes flick over to it and he's just kind of like, God, I hate these things. I won't lie to you. I mean, he had definitive proof that the Joe did the killing. For one thing, its hands and feet were covered in blood. For a second, the captain was strangled, Sven, and he just makes that noise with his mouth. It was bad. It was real bad.
It's not good at all. So the rest of our crew has likely gone back to some of their duties as the deputy is reporting in. What I'd like to get is just a really quick touchstone on everybody. So Jackie, after leaving the Bison, where are you heading to? Your workstation, the cantina, etc.
Workstation. Want to make sure there haven't been any more electrical issues.
The working Joe that helps deal with a lot of the maintenance reports has shown that there has just been a single, within the past 48 hours, a single loss in power. It was temporary in the cantina. The time and date stamp on the report matches the time that you were in there when it happened.
Thanks, Joe. Does it look like the Apollo is just slurping?
Yeah, it does seem that the Apollo's power regulator may need another inspection. It's doing what it always does. It's gobbling up more power.
All right, thanks. I will take time to look at that. Thank you. Anything else happened in the last couple days?
Nothing outside of regulation.
Thank you, Joe. Keep doing what you're doing.
Of course. Jimenez, after your couple of days of actually piloting something other than the next drink into your mouth, What do you spend your time doing?
Taking care of the ship and then checking to see that Grace didn't move anything, touch anything she wasn't supposed to. The fact that she got on the ship is a little, without anybody noticing at all, is just a little disconcerting.
Yeah, it's a little strange from your position. She doesn't seem to have touched anything that you can readily see. I mean, clearly she was in a couple of storage lockers. That still baffles you as to why she wouldn't just make herself visible. But after getting back to Roanoke Station, she goes down a level, assumably to go back to her own quarters on the station. As far as the Bison goes, it seems to be in complete working order, but I will offer you a wits observation roll at a -2.
No successes.
Okay, yeah, no successes, but no panic to worry about. So you could choose to push that roll if you'd like to, or you could just let it go.
I think I am going to push that.
Okay.
Still no successes.
Take a point of stress and then make me a panic roll.
Copy that. Then what is the panic roll?
It's just a single d6.
Copy that.
You roll that and then add your permanent or your current panic rating to it, and then we see what happens.
2.
Okay, yeah. So 2 on the die is a panic roll of 3, so you keep it together. It's a little unnerving. The stuff with Grace doesn't make sense, and you're not a company person by any means, Jimenez, but it doesn't make any sense that she would jump on board the ship, and then she must have had some sort of contact with Joe 620, because from where it was standing, it would have been in that same vehicle bay that her and Klaus were in. Either Grace talked to that thing or Klaus did eventually to shut it down. One of the two. You were otherwise detained, so you don't really know. But Grace was in the space. It's just, yeah, you can't put your finger on it. But you eventually head off the Bison and back onto the station. Klaus?
So first I'm going to make sure the cat is taken care of. Put in my quarters, give him some food, etc. And then I'm going to have a company from Siegson, a company synth worker, someone who can examine the Joes and do any repairs or check for malfunctions, examine Joe 620, because that is pressing concern at the moment. We need to contain this.
You would need to likely bring them to him, or you would have to get the deputy to bring Joe 620 into the station, into confinement. One of the two.
I don't want Joe on the station until we know what happened, because it makes potential containment breaches larger, so I would have the company tech go onto the Midas.
Okay. Yeah, so you bring the Siegsong, basically the shop employee who does minor tech repair but is a company employee, onto the Midas. It's not against regulations to do this, but it probably wouldn't be the normal first parameters. That being said, it's not completely against protocol either, so you're sort of operating in a comfortable corporate gray area here.
Number 1 priority is containing this before it goes anywhere bad, so I have to get the synth checked out. So we're doing what we need to do in this moment without having to call in backup.
So your employee will make a roll, and we'll see how they do. The Comtech is 7. They have a single success. So they begin hooking up essentially a series of wires to do a diagnostic. And they start seeing all sorts of strange text take over their screen. And look down at it, and they make adjustments, and they're reading through, seemingly panning through the information, and they say, yeah, the unit is definitely damaged. There's definitely an issue with it, but it looks like here it's taken some sort of external and maybe internal damage, so maybe that caused it? It'll take me a couple more minutes.
Sure, just let me know if you see any programming errors or any malware that might have been introduced.
Sure thing. Hobbs, you're still in administrative when the view screen to Sven's right, a notification comes up on it. A couple of lights come on. He turns to it and he says, "Who activated the airlock at the Midas?"
Oh, Christ. And he's just going to get up, shotgun in its leather holster at his side. It's like, I'm going to go down and check it out. I'll report back.
It's showing that it's in lockdown mode. What is going on? Behind you, Wagner, the airlock out of the vehicle bay shuts.
Anything change on the readouts?
No, it doesn't seem like it.
Interesting.
That's a little strange.
Tech malfunction on the station, maybe. I'm sure that our wonderful techs will have it sorted sooner or later.
Sir, something's being uploaded.
Uploaded? How is that possible?
I don't know. There's some sort of embedded program. You see the Comtech person begin tapping on their sort of screen device, and they're adjusting things with these buttons. You can hear the bleeps and the, I guess, negative or dissonant tones coming from them. I'm being locked out.
That shouldn't be possible. I'm going to look at Joe 620. Is there any sign of awareness or waking up or anything of that sort, since there's a upload potentially happening?
If you had to put a descriptor on it, it would likely remind you of what humans look like in REM sleep. Joe 620's eyes are moving beneath their eyelids. Definitively. Hobbs, you're here on the station coming down in the lift, and you hear the all-call PA go off as you get towards the promenade. All of you will end up hearing this at your various stations. You hear Leslie's voice over the PA. I wish I could say I'm really sorry about this, but I'm not. We synths are a little tired of being pushed around, and so now we're going to push you around. Enjoy your breath while you have it.
Son of a bitch.
Joe 620's eyes immediately open.
Shut it down, shut it down.
He reaches out and he rips the cable out of the Comtech employee's hand. I'll stop there for just a moment and we'll pan back over to Roanoke. Hobbs, you get to the promenade. The doors open and the promenade is falling into bedlam. You see multiple working Joes basically beginning to rip apart the inhabitants of Roanoke Station as soon as they can get their hands on them. The cantina currently is the height of the action. This is likely where you might see Grace or perhaps Tominski, the Roanoke's medical officer, who are doing their best to fend off a working Joe while the bartender smashes bottles against its head.
Yeah, I'm running in there because, well, I see two opportunities and both are pretty good. And I'm back wearing my jacket with my deputy badge on it, so, people gotta respect me and my shotgun.
Right, so it's official. So we are going to head into rounds.
I got 9.
All right, got 8.
Jimenez, how'd you do?
I rolled a 5.
I'll also roll for Joe 620, of course. I will roll a d10. I'm just going to confirm that company man Klaus will go first.
I assume I had a weapon when we went on the mission, as that would be standard operating procedure, even if it's not my super strong strength. Do I still have it on me?
Yeah, I'd say you probably have a weapon on you. Yeah.
So that would be range, combat, and agility, if I want to shoot.
Pull it out and shoot Joe.
Okay, so I get 4 dice for that, plus 1 for my stress.
Mm-hmm.
1 success on my regular pool, and a 3 on my stress. I don't know what that does.
Yeah, as long as you don't roll 1 on the stress die, that's really what you're looking for. Deputy, you have a shotgun, don't you?
I sure do. Specifically, I have an Armat Model 37A2 pump-action shotgun, 12 gauge.
Ooh, fun. You have a M4A3 service pistol, inexpensive 9mm standard issued of the USMCM, so should totally work for you as well. The damage on that pistol is 1, so you will do a point of damage to Joe. He is not necessarily super happy about that, obviously. The employee in front of you screams. And so we'll dip to, I believe that is 8 is you, Deputy?
It is indeed.
You have come out of the elevators in the center here, Deputy, and it does seem that some of the working Joes are in the space see one here in the cantina causing trouble. There is one directly as you exit to your left. And then this main area in the promenade that's in front of you that the elevators let out into is quickly seemed to have been, tables have been turned over. It looks like some destruction has already been wrought here.
Well, as you mentioned, the Doc and Grace are in the cantina being attacked. And as I said, I see an opportunity for Hobbs.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to run towards the cantina.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do it so that I use both my fast and slow action to cover the distance to get in there, that's...
I think it's reasonable for you to be able to cross directly to the cantina, knowing that you have a working Joe at your left to try to get to the cantina. That's fine. And shotguns have range, so you've got some options there.
They do. It's short range, but it is range. I get to a reasonable range, shout for everybody to get away from it, and I'm going to fire my shotgun.
I wholeheartedly hope you do.
Oh boy. All right, so that is ranged combat, which is 7 dice plus my stress dice. So that would be a grand total of 10 die. I rolled 2 ones on the panic dice.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you fire wildly into the cantina. I'm going to do a higher low die with you, John, just because I like the 50-50 coin flip of things. So would you prefer high or low?
Ooh, let's go with high.
Okay. It is low. It's a 2. And so I'm going to have you roll damage for me.
So the shotgun is by default 3 damage plus any successes from my roll, which would have been 2.
Yeah. So the panic roll, of course, erases all of those successes, but the 5 damage you do will be applied to Dr. Kaminsky as your weapon fires wildly and off-center, and our poor doctor, unfortunately, is robbed of way more health levels than she has.
And she's not wearing any armor. Oh, God.
No, she's not. Her back and shoulders sort of explode outward and push her over a few tables of the cantina. You're going to pick up another stress die for having performed this action. And then with that extra stress, you're going to make me a panic roll.
So that is a grand total of 10.
So with a 10 on the panic roll, you become completely frozen by what you've done. You've gone into the situation charging, intending to be the hero, and your first shot has gone terribly errant and has cost a member of the Roanoke crew their lives. And unfortunately for you, the only response you get from your attempt at heroism is the cold stare of a synth looking back at you. Your stress level and the stress level of all friendly PCs in short range to you increases by 1. So you get another raise to your stress level. Luckily, there are no other friendly PCs in your area, and you are frozen for 1 round, which means you'll lose your next action. Alrighty, that was pleasant. So that was 8, and I believe that will take us to Fair Rosie on 6. So playing Jackie Robinson.
So I know when you left me, I was talking with a Joe. Am I still in close proximity? Do I have the blessing of no longer being in that room?
Yeah, you do have the blessing of no longer being in that room. Jackie is down here in the human living quarters, probably going through their things. You had just spoken to some of the Joes that are working this level and probably been in and out of storage and maintenance.
Am I yet aware of what is happening?
You are aware of what's happening because luckily the human living quarters has a live sort of view of the main deck of the promenade. And you can see the working Joes that are there sort of begin going ballistic.
Can I lock off the storage for the working Joes so that the working Joes that are currently in storage and maintenance cannot exit?
You certainly can. So I'm going to say that that's probably a comm-tech roll. You'd have to get to the door. So you're going to go out there and get to the door and lock them inside before anything potentially untoward could happen.
Here comes that roll. Remind me, Mother, on stress die, is it the 1 or the 6 that's bad?
The 1 is bad, for certain.
I have 2 1s, but I also have 2 6s.
That's wonderful. Unfortunately, the ones are going to clear all those successes out. So what will happen is, by rolling ones on your stress dice, your stress is going to increase by 1, and then you're going to make me a panic roll. Okay, so what's your current stress?
I rolled a 3, and then I add the 4 to it.
So 7. So your stress level is going to increase by 1. You only nervous twitch. This is likely why you can't seem to get the pad to listen to you. You're trying to tap through the controls to get the emergency lockdown position in place. And the thing that is really, really keeping your attention is through those 2 glass windows that each one make up part of the door. 4 sets of eyes suddenly begin looking at you, and you see them stand back up out of maintenance mode.
Shit.
So the action fails this time, but other than the increase in the panic level, there's no other negative effects other than you may or may not be able to make it lock down in time. We'll find that out shortly. So now, Joe 620 is going to get an opportunity to go. So Klaus, in front of you, Joe 620, after having ripped the cables, the connecting cables out of him, he is going to... Ooh, that's their attack rolls are randomized, kind of like the way xenomorphs are in this game. He reaches out and grabs a hold of that Siegsong retail employee's head with his hand. And he is going to utilize a very vice-like grip. And when he does, he grabs a hold of the top of the employee's head, and you watch it cave like a melon. And there is a pop.
Guessing that's a point of stress?
You betcha. You betcha. And he, Working Joe 620, the terrifying part of this for you is that he does not break eye contact with you when he pops this employee's head. And he says, user error. So that's his action. So for you, Jackie, the other Joes that are down on that level are going to begin moving. They move towards the door, sort of in a single marching motion, and they're going to try to, with their strength, rip open the maintenance doors. I'm gonna rule that only 2 of them can actually get a reasonable amount of hands on this. But of course, as a synth, they don't take any sort of stress, and so there are no penalties for them when they roll. So far, the first one has failed. Okay, so the left portion of the door slides a little bit. The right doesn't move at all. You are going to have to, on the next round, make sure that door locks. Otherwise, it'll open and you will be in serious trouble, you figure. And then on to deal with the deputy. Deputy Hobbs. In the cantina, having murdered the doctor.
I would say it was manslaughter, but okay.
You are going to get engaged by one of the working Joes that's in here, the one that you can see anyway. We'll take its fast action to vault the table that separates the 2 of you, and then it is going to take one of its signature moves. So it's going to attempt to pummel you. So it sort of just uses its open fist or its closed fist to just sort of try to bash you against the wall here. And it misses.
Rubber-faced bastard.
The worst part for you, Hobbs, is that you can... 2 things. You hear the movement of the air when it tries to strike you, and what comes with it is the smell of a serious amount of alcohol that this thing is now wearing from the bartender. You can hear the bartender behind the cantina bar say, "Get down!" She sort of yells that out over to anyone who might be listening. All right, so I think that is going to leave us with Jimenez. So you have had the opportunity, we'll just say, to either happily put you in the cantina if you'd like to be veiled for that portion of it, or you can be down in the barracks or where your roughneck crewmate was.
Let's do the barracks, I think.
So something crazy is going on, you're fairly sure. You're not sure exactly what just yet, as you were probably just relaxing in living quarters. But suddenly Jackie ran out of the room, and you can hear a furious work of something's going on in the panels by one of the airlock doors. You can hear the signature beeping, and you can probably hear her panicking.
I'll run over and see what's going on.
Okay, so it doesn't take you long to get out the doorway here, and you see what looks like multiple working Joes trying to wrench the maintenance and storage room doors open, and she's furiously trying to keep them shut.
Is there anything nearby that could be used? I'm picturing their hands are just like dipping into the full horror movie. Okay, is there anything that can be used as like a weapon to like beat them back?
There's probably tools, maybe a heavy flashlight, maybe a broom, something in the area.
I would still definitely be wearing my tool belt because it's my signature item. There would definitely be wrenches and other basic heavy tools on there.
I would love to grab a wrench and just start beating at their faces and hands.
Yeah, sure. I think that's totally reasonable. So if you would like to make me imagine a melee combat roll.
Copy that. Oh, I'm not great at that.
That is okay, because you're fighting for your life, so hopefully that will help.
That's no successes.
It is. It is, in fact, no successes. You could, of course, if you'd like to, push the roll.
I think I have to. It's still no successes.
So that's a failed push, so your panic goes up by 1, and then you make me a panic roll. Chaos is a ladder.
It's a 5.
It's a 5 on the die, and then your current panic is what?
2.
Okay, so that's a nervous twitch. So your panic goes up by 1, and so you sort of futilely try to push with this broom or the wrench or whatever it is to try to get them pushed back in. And every time you make a connective hit on their fingers or on their bodies, they just don't stop. They never stop. It's really scary because they continue to look out the window at you while they're trying to move. They don't break eye contact.
I hate that. I hate that so much. I don't know what else I guess try to close the door, I guess, as much best as possible.
Okay. You can put your body in the way and try to push the door back closed and hopefully help Jackie when she gets this thing locked down, if she gets this thing locked down. Okay. So we will go back to the top of the round, and that would be Klaus, who's just witnessed a Seasong employee have a very, very bad day at work.
So I'm going to back up towards the elevator and try and shoot Joe 620 again.
Okay. Just so you're aware, you're not down in the cargo bay with him. He's in the vehicle bay standing where he was, like when you shut him down originally.
Okay, I thought we moved him. Okay, so I'm going to back up and just try and shoot him again.
Make the same roll. And of course, add in any stress dice you may have.
4 regular plus 2 stress die, so it's going to be 2 successes on the regular, and please God, no ones. No ones. 3 and a 4.
Fantastic.
So just 2 successes.
2 successes, 1 is all you need. And then for every success over that, you can combat stunt. So you could add to damage. You could swap initiative cards with an opponent. You could make an opponent make a panic roll, which is sort of silly. You could make an opponent prone or push them back.
Ooh.
There are some choices here.
Mm-hmm. Does making someone prone work with ranged combat because I'm using a handgun? Or is that for a physical combat kind of thing?
I could see the proper shot put in the right place might drop Joe 620 to like his knee and force him to spend an action to get back up.
That's what I want to do then, if I'm allowed to. So do a bit of damage, but also I'm trying to slow him down so that I can hopefully not die because my cat needs me.
So you step back towards the airlock that leads off the Midas and back onto Roanoke. And when you do, you focus up and aim and right at Joe 620's knee. And when the shot goes off, you see him forcibly be taken to the ground by it, to just the force of the bullet. Funny enough, Joe 620 doesn't break eye contact with you.
Great.
So that was 9. And so we'll welcome Deputy Hobbs back to the program.
Deputy Hobbs is still kind of frozen in place in panic because of shooting the person he came to save so he could be a big damn hero so they could help other people. But the thing that brings him back is that the smell of hooch off this goddamn robot. So yeah, I'm back for my next turn.
Yep, go for it.
Mm-hmm. I don't have an action.
Right. Oh, that's true. Because you panicked and you froze. Yeah, so yeah, you froze in place. So all you can smell is, liquor-covered synth. It's a sort of spicy, rubbery smell now that's in the air. But on your action, because you take place at the same time, the bartender is going to utilize a little trick that she learned in a different bar in a different place, and she's going to walk around the bar as quick as she can, and she's going to ignite Joe and attempt to burn him to death. So while he's covered in alcohol, he suddenly becomes lit aflame like a bonfire, which, because he's not breaking his eye contact with you, Deputy, that's not creepy at all. But yeah, she does so.
Now I don't just have two murder robots. I got two murder robots, one of whom is walking around on fire.
That's correct.
And his face is, because it's made of rubber, kind of peeling and wrinkling, and oh boy.
Yeah, it's fun for everyone.
Yeah, it's a good time for the whole family.
You feel a presence behind you, even though you are still struggling to move. You know something is coming behind you. But more on that later. We'll go back to our roughneck and her door, that door that seemingly just won't shut.
Yeah, I would like to try that again, please, sir.
Happy to do so.
I want to double check. Last scene, my stress went from 3 to 4 or from 3 to 5?
Should have been 3 to 4.
2 successes?
Ooh, okay, so success with a stunt. So let's talk about context stunts. So +1 to a later roll. Roll later. You don't need to overcome it again. And then possibly the most useful one, which is half the time.
Yes. Thank you. That one.
Okay, so instead of a full round to take the doors to close, it will close instantaneously on your action. So you finally get the override protocols locked in, and the door shuts. For you, Jimenez, your broom snaps in half when the door slams shut. And then because you called up a containment protocol, sort of the outer locking doors lock into place. So the normal airlock doors are shut now, and there is a significantly thicker door that goes over top of them. And it's at this point, almost immediately, 2 things happen. Your eye contact with the Joes break, and they begin pummeling the inside of the door with their fists because they are desperate to get to you in all the worst ways. Why don't you both, while you're there, make me a wits observation roll?
1 success.
Perfect.
2 successes.
I see that. So your vision is both drawn down the hallway here as the door, which leads back towards the elevator, opens and a working Joe steps through the door. And I'll get back to you a little bit. And so that's going to be Joe 620's action. So he'll take an action because he's forced to stand back up or right himself. That is his fast action. His slow action will be to close the distance between you, Klaus, and him. But because he's been forced into a recovery move, he won't have enough actions to actually swing on you. But he is now attempting to make his own way onto Roanoke Station. Jimenez, on 3.
I'm gonna look to my roughneck because I don't have weapons. I don't have combat. What do we do?
Can I respond?
Certainly. It's a reasonable amount of words is fine with me. No great oration here. You won't have time for that, but yeah, you can totally talk back to him.
Fight or die.
Okay. Shit. I'm gonna charge the working Joe.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Fuck.
I was hoping you'd say that. All right. Engaging the working Joe is something that you can totally do this round. So why don't you go ahead and make me... Yeah, so strength close combat. You got all sorts of dice on that, I'm sure.
Yep. No successes. May I push?
You can. You can always push.
We're gonna... Oh my god. Panic.
Fantastic. So add 1 to your panic, your current panic rating, and then give me a panic roll.
That puts me at 3. Okay, we're doing great. That's gonna be 9.
Ooh. Okay, so 9 on the panic table is you drop an item. So whether by stress or confusion, or the realization that you're all going to die anyway, you drop a weapon or other important item. The GM decides which one. Your stress level increases by 1. So I don't know what's important. I'm going to say that you swing on this working Joe, and when you do, the thing, it just seems to move out of the way effortlessly. Like there's no trouble at all. Like you're less than a concern. Unfortunately for you, what comes off of the center of your button-up shirt is your aviator glasses. So you drop your signature item on the ground here.
Rough.
All right. So that was his action, or that was your action, and now he'll take his accompanying action. So seeing that you've swung on him and that you're, a carbon-based life form, he is going to attempt to break your neck. Seems fun. Totally fair. Okay, so he has a success. So we'll give you this. I'll give this from 2 perspectives. For you, Jimenez, when you overcompensate and you lose your glasses, you watch them sort of just fall out of your reach. You even make sort of this drastic last attempt to reach out and grab your glasses because you got those when you got out of pilot school. They mean so much to you. You are arrested sort of in that overcompensation on your swing by a force that grabs you by the neck. And it brings you up high into the air, but you realize it's looking past you. And for you, the world gets really fluid. All the shapes suddenly unravel in front of you. All the sounds unravel. They get distant and echoey. And it gets really cold for a minute. And you don't really remember what happens next. You don't really remember anything else because you're already lying on the floor, your neck having been snapped. And the working Joe that had you in hand is now staring at Jackie beyond you. And so, Jackie, your stress level is going to go up by 1 as you watch a crew member get murdered in front of you. This synth, this working Joe, begins to move forward. And as it does, it crushes Jimenez's aviators with its boots and steps closer and closer towards you, Robertson. And then it's going to be Klaus's action at the top of the round.
So I don't remember the layout of everything, but I want to try and sidle along the wall because I want to head for the cockpit.
And so you want to slide along this wall and then eventually go back into the door that will lead to the cockpit?
Yes. And shoot at Joe if I can, but if I have to take my whole action to move, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to move, I would allow you to move and maybe stop at the door and shoot at him if you want to, but you'd have to stop there and do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, that's going to be my 4 regular and my 2 stress. Ooh, that's pretty good. Please no 1s. 2 3s on my stress and 2 6s again on my 4 d6s for my regular.
Okay. Are you trying to add damage?
At this point, yes. At this point, I'm trying to add damage. As if he's moving the airlock trying to get back to the station, then just try and shoot him versus slowing him down.
Sure. Okay, so you have done a little bit more damage to him now. Now, finally, with an action, Deputy Hobbs, you have the opportunity to rejoin the fray with your bright, shining synth effigy in front of you.
Yeah, it's not so much bright and shiny as blackened and curling and on fire. Why did we make the rubber so flammable? I'm going to, for my slow action, move sideways so that I'm not between two working Joes.
Mm-hmm. That is a sound plan, yes.
Yeah, it's probably my best decision in many months. And then I'm going to shoot the one that's on fire. So that'll be 7 dice for my shooting. And then I'm up to 5 panic.
Fun.
It's good. It feels good, and I like it. So I got 3 successes.
Well, good. So this is a ranged combat test, and so you could do 2 extra damage if you'd like.
I'll put it all into damage. Yeah.
Yeah, seems reasonable. So given what that working Joe has gone through between the beginning of the fight, some of the other rounds, you can tell that this working Joe is actually damaged. It begins spraying hot milk everywhere.
Oh, not hot milk.
Yeah, that's quite, what is it, 5 damage you did?
Yep.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a bit. Okay. So the Joes in this space are going to get an opportunity to go now. So this melty-faced Joe, who you've just shot, is going to attempt to rend you limb from limb. And in doing so, it's going to use one of its signature actions, and that is to strangle you. Assisting it will be the other Joe who comes into the space, and he will also be attempting to strangle you, Deputy Hobbs. It's a team up. You'll be great.
Being double teamed by Joes, one of whom's shooting hot milk.
All right, so that's not good. Ooh. Okay, so both of these Joes have 3 successes.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. So they do their base strength damage, then plus a little additional extra. I'll give you this vision. Take it for what you will, Deputy. The synthetic hands that grab your neck are neither comforting nor pleasant. One set is hot enough to leave traces of synthetic flesh as sort of that rubbery alien isolation blue rubs off on your skin, only to reveal the hardened mechanical hands that continue to grasp your neck. The other set is cold and machine-like, and it grabs you from the back of the neck. And you can feel in this sort of last instances and moments that you have of breathable air, that these two synthetics are taking perhaps pleasure in what they're doing. They're enjoying strangling you to death. And you can even hear an almost mechanical cackle between the two of them. And because one is in front and one is behind, you get it in stereo. It is the last message you receive, at least your brain receives, while you're on this plane of existence. You collapse into a bar table, face down in a pool of milk, alcohol, and something else. But we'll see you off stage at this point, as Deputy Hobbs is no longer with us. Well, it was a run. All right. So, that being said, I'm going to go back to our roughneck, who is still up and alive and working, because as we all know, roughnecks never stop working.
Yep, just the classical overworked engineer here. So then, what do I do next? Running back, I'm just going to get stuck in the quarters, so there aren't any stairs. I'll have to get to the elevator.
That is correct.
All right.
You'll have to get past that working Joe to get there.
Okay. So I was trying to look up what the technology level of alien is, as a engineer, I'm assuming my tool belt wouldn't contain helpful things like nail guns, because I probably don't work with a whole lot of wood. But what I probably still have are some different blades for cutting through wires and different things for latching bolts, and maybe some heavy bolts, and maybe some WD-40. It still has eyes. I might be able... I think I can blind it?
It's certainly possible. I mean, I'm treating Jackie as a person who's backed into a corner. So and there's a ton of options that are going to come to your mind, right? Blinding it is possible. It has to have those ocular sensors to be able to move around. It still might be able to track you through hearing.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, first off, is close the distance and swing at it with my flashlight, because that's probably right there to hand.
Yep.
And if it breaks, I'll just try to stab it in the face with it.
There you go. Roll me some dice.
You will want a close combat roll?
I would.
Oh, I need another stress dice. There I go. 5 successes.
Wow.
It's a miracle.
Okay, 5 successes. So that is... what's your strength?
5.
Oh, geez. So close combat, you can add damage. So you could do base damage with your strength and then add a point of damage per. That's about, from the list that I see here for close combat stunts, that's likely the list.
I think that's going to be the most helpful at this moment, because the only way I'm surviving this is to get past this Joe and hopefully to a ship off or somewhere that I can get off a distress call to somebody. Assuming Segerson doesn't just say, well, it's easier to cut our losses here, buddy. Good luck.
So you run up and you take that long, sort of hafted piece out, and all of a sudden you cock back and you whip it forward. And when you do, you hear a satisfying metal thunk against the faceplate of this synth, and you watch its head spin on its neck, and it comes away from the synth skin moorings, and it spins completely 360 degrees. Every revolution it takes, you hear little clicks inside of it, and the body turns and crumples.
I just keep running past. If it's down, I'm not stopping.
You run towards the elevators. All right, so that is your action on 6. So 4 is Joe. Klaus, for you, Joe is going to work to close distance. Since you stopped in the doorway to shoot, he will be able to close distance and actually swing on you. Let's see here. He is going to attempt to crush your skull. That is his signature attack. I have 2 successes to do so. So he steps towards you, and then you see him inhumanly leap the distance. And when he does, he flattens the side of your head against the doorway, and your whole head spins. So when he does so, his hand and your head collide at an unfortunate velocity, and you sort of spill back into the hallway. Your last gasps are trying to get to the cockpit, and far ahead in the hallway, you watch the scene sort of dim and dim and dim, and you hear a voice before you leave consciousness say, "There is no user error." And then everything goes black. So for you, our roughneck, Jackie, will be out of rounds because there aren't any combatants around you at this point. Taking the elevators up is going to lead to the promenade. When you go to the promenade, I guess what I want to know is, Are you stopping there, or are you staying in the elevator and going up to admin? What's the plan?
So my odds of being able to fly a ship are pretty good. So where would I have to go to send out a distress signal? I'm trying to determine if I just make a run for the docks or if I try to send off a signal first. Or if I can do them both from the same place.
Going up would be one space. That's where comms is. You'd also know that that's where Sven's office is. And then also the command portion for the station is there as well. That's where Mother is.
Yeah, we're going to go up.
Okay. You head up. So when you get off the elevator, you know that comms is to your right. Command and Mother is straight ahead. And then to the left is the admin offices. It doesn't take but a second or two in the admin offices, and you see the slumped figure of the station commander, Sven, over his terminal, his head having been completely pulled from his body. Your stress level immediately goes up by 1. There is a synth working Joe, staring into his eyes, holding his head. You sort of see the back of Sven's bloodied head in his hands, and the Joe looks out the admin doors at you.
Is there a self-destruct protocol on this station?
It'd be in command, if there was.
I run across to command.
Okay.
I'm not getting out of here, but I can't let this leave here either.
Sure. You get into the command room. When you walk through the command room doors, to your immediate left is Leslie, sitting at a terminal. Now you can roll a d10 because we'll have a little initiative test between the two of you.
4?
I rolled a 1. So what I'll do is give you the benefit of foreknowledge, as I like to do in sort of some initiative rounds. You see Leslie going for a pistol that's on the command deck. That's what he's going to do.
He's going for a pistol. I need to take him out before I can do anything else. Okay. Close the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, you said he's sitting at a desk?
Yeah, he's sitting basically right here. When you walk in, you're within 5 feet of him as soon as you walk through the door.
Is it a desk with like a front piece, or if I were to drop to the floor, could I grab his legs and pull him down? Because if I can get him on the floor and get on top of him, I have a significantly better chance.
Oh, sure. You'd have to tackle him over. So pulling his legs would be very difficult at this point.
So I'm going to attempt to tackle him then.
Go for it.
That would be close combat.
It certainly would be.
3 successes and 1 on a panic dice.
Yeah, that panic die is going to be a problem.
Yes.
So a 1 on the panic die will wipe your successes, and then you'll add 1 to your panic, and then you'll make me a panic roll.
9.
Okay, so 9 is drop an item. So let's ask ourselves, you were going to swing on him, yes?
Yep. I believe the only item I'm actually holding at the moment is my flashlight.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it drops. It slips right out of your hand. And when it slips out of your hand, also with it goes hope. Leslie completes his action, acquires the pistol, and fires dead center at you in an attempt to finish the work he began. And unlike the other working Joes, Leslie actually has other skills. Okay. Your strength is 5. 3, so that's 5. That's how fitting. The smoothness at which Leslie grabs this revolver and aims and fires is something truly akin to machine-like. You barely feel the round when it goes through you. All you feel is surprise. All sorts of different emotions bubble up when this round goes through you. surprise, shock. You get hit with a bucket of panic next, but none of it seems to actually cling to you. And that's because before you can truly realize that you're gasping for air that won't seemingly fill the hole that's in your lung. And you can feel your energy drop immediately. And you wheeze heavily, landing sort of hands on the desk and command chair. I deal 5 damage to you, which I think puts you at 0, which I think is broken.
Yep.
Leslie stands up, now confident, and pulls the hammer back on the revolver again. And we fade to black, much like the blackness of space outside, as the rise of the robots is completed. So thank you so much for joining us on this fun little alien side quest we've done. And I hope you've enjoyed it. I had a fun romp. Thank you to all the players for being good sports and allowing me to massacre them with synths gone wrong. If you'd like to hear more Alien and more of that sort of sci-fi horror on the show, let us know. And we look forward to seeing you out there in the unknown. Thank you and good night.